Hey everyone, Whitney here with a quick message from the sponsor of this video, Green Mountain Services. Join us for the 6th annual Cerebral Palsy Conference on October 1st and 2nd, 2021. This is a virtual event that can be attended by the comfort of your own home. There will be 2 days of networking, sessions, and high-quality, award-winning speakers. Registration is free. Go to cerebralpalsyconference.org for more information. Providing cerebral palsy advocates an event for networking and education. Hope to see you there. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Spastic. This is Whitney, if you didn't know, and welcome back to another episode of Spastic Chatter. Spastic Chatter is a platform meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I get together weekly with individuals with CP, like myself, to have an uncensored chat, if you will, about what it's like living with this type of disability. And for this week, I have Paula, and she is an inclusive activist, and her if you look at her Instagram, guys, like it was pretty awesome. I was kind of blown away, intimate. It's one of those where I reach out and like I wasn't expecting a response back, but
why?
I don't know, because you have so many followers. It's intimidating.
Oh my God, no. For me, this is like a movement with all of us. It's not just me and a number of followers. It's a movement that we've all created together. So the responses might take a minute, but they will show up.
That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna let Paula introduce herself, and then we're gonna get into the conversation. So take it away, Paula.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on here today. Super excited to dive into this conversation. As Whitney mentioned, my name is Paula Carozzo. I am an inclusive activist and a disabled creator based in Miami. And basically, throughout my posts on my social media channels, I cultivate and create awareness on the topics of disability, inclusivity, diversity, culture, and the self.
That's awesome. So, I kind of want to take it back to like the beginning. What made you want to like start sharing yourself on social media? And like, what does that journey look like for you?
Well, for me, I actually went to school for public relations and business. PR is basically when you manage the brand's image, when you manage the brand's like reputation in press and marketing channels. And I always worked for the fashion and the entertainment industries, and diving so deep into those industries gave me the awareness that there was no representation for the disabled community at all. So, one day I was just sitting there in my office while pitching all these clients to the press, and I really sat with myself and I'm like, what am I really, really doing here? Because I'm out here garnering press and garnering a good image for all of these other people that already have a pretty stable image, and my community doesn't have an image at all. So that's where I kind of blasted off, got lots of ideas and just got all of that together and started turning it into like a little Instagram blog. And then that's what it is now today, 2 years later.
I love that. Yeah, I your byline on your profile is like something about like changing disability perceptions like one can at a time. So I love that.
Thank you.
So before this, we were kind of talking. You mentioned that like when somebody like looks at when somebody just takes like a first glance at your profile, they might think that like you're like just a model or like something like that until they read your caption. Have you run? Obviously, you run across that like a lot. How do you handle their feedback, or do you get feedback like that often, or
About having people think that I'm a model.
I like, yeah, like not. I don't know where I was going with that line of questioning. It kind of rambled off, but like not seeing your activism and just like looking, like seeing your appearance.
Yeah, yeah. So like at first glance, you know, when people just kind of go into the profile, they're like, oh, she's a model. And then when they look at my bio, they're like, wait, what is being like an inclusive activist, and why is she changing the perception of disability? And then on the pictures themselves, you can't really see it. But on the video content, you can see the walk, right? You can see the walk, you can see the canes, you can kind of see everything. And then, of course, the captions are pretty lengthy themselves. So that kind of speaks for itself. But at first glance, people just think I'm like just a model or something. But then as you dive deeper onto the page, you kind of see there is some sense of activism there.
Yeah, that's cool. I got on another episode, like I think it was like last week. I talked with somebody and I was like, you know, like Instagram, like your Instagram reels, kind of that's just like a snapshot. Like when you're doing like videos on YouTube, that's when your disability like really comes across. Because it's like if I just take a picture like and it was just a like a upper body picture, you necessarily couldn't tell that I have cerebral palsy. But if we're doing a video, like you can clearly tell that my cerebral palsy is like on the more severe side. So I like to say that like videos are more authentic, and you get to see the real, like the real person.
Totally. I agree because you can show yourself on such a different level, and it's not just like what you're mentioning, like it's not just the picture, you know. On video, there's just so many other ways of like expressing yourself and just really showing who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned that you went to school and that like you did PR. I always like to ask my, I guess, like, can you kind of like describe your childhood growing up with CP? I know that we mentioned that before this, that it was like a childhood disability. Was your childhood any different than you would say like the average childhood would be?
Yeah, it was obviously pretty different. I mean, not only on like the physical aspects on themselves, on like not being able to do much, you know, because we are physically limited, so therefore you don't really get to live the same life as kids without disabilities. But I feel that CP is such a disability that it's so enforced during your childhood years, and then when you're an adult you get thrown out by yourself, and there are no resources, there's no education of it. So that's kind of like another reason why I always wanted to come out with like a little blog or something to educate about living with disabilities as an adult, because we only see topics and awareness around it as a child, but your disability is here to stay with you. It's not going away when you get older. It's not something that is healed. It's not something that's supposed to be healed, but it's something that's going to stay. And I feel that we need to maximize the resources, the information, the education around it as an adult. So that's like another reason why I started the activism as well.
That's awesome. So how was your education experience? I know that you went to college. How you want to talk about your experience going to college and things like that?
Well, college was where I was pretty like, damn, I'm an adult and I'm alone here with a disability, because throughout my whole like adolescent, like childhood and adolescent years, my parents made everything inclusive. They made everything accessible, even when it wasn't. And then when I started college, you know, when I had to walk the distances of building to building and then make it to class on time and then just like live that adult life, you know, be responsible, get a job, pay your bills, have your car, walk all these distances around campus. Like that's really where it hit me that there's just their disability is still such a taboo topic that needs awareness around it. And just simply by like everybody in college, as I would walk by, they would ask me, what's wrong with your leg? Why do you walk like that? And I'm like, what's the point of those questions? Like, I'm not here just wearing a sign on my forehead saying, don't ask me how I walk, I have CP. You know, it's just things like you don't. So I felt like there was a need of awareness, there was a need of clarity, there was a need of like rethinking disability. So yeah.
I always that's one of the common themes on this podcast is like we're like in childhood, like we really don't think about disability, and then as you mature and like get older, it becomes more apparent, and we have to deal with like the societal misconceptions, like we're to deal with all that. So that's where I came into like claiming my disabilities, like in my college years. And honestly, I didn't feel comfortable saying the word disabled until like I was like in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to appear more disabled than I already am.
Yeah.
I already am. So like that's one thing that I definitely struggled with when I was younger, and like as I got older, I was like, I don't really care anymore. Like I'm disabled. There's things that I cannot do. Like there's no hiding my disability. So I might as well just embrace it. Like did you have any of those moments?
Yeah. So I was pretty similar to you. I didn't fully come to terms about really knowing my disability or accepting it until I was like 20. So that goes to show that your 20s are like a very self-identity years. And I've always said this, like I recommend everybody to take their 20s off just for themselves. You know, don't think about having kids. If you're in a relationship, great, but don't force it to marriage. You know, just like get to know yourself, enjoy time with yourself, take yourself out, really, really like cultivate the relationship within yourself, because you are going to spend the rest of your life either married and dedicating your life to your kids. So it's not going to hurt to dedicate some time to yourself, because I feel like my 20s have been, you know, those years of so much like reflection, self-identity, self like recognizing, growth, you know, like identity shifts in career. You know, I went from being a publicist to an inclusive activist. You know, those things just don't really happen. Like, what? You left your day job to be an inclusive activist? So I feel like your 20s is like that time for many of us to really enjoy and cultivate that relationship with the self.
That's awesome. Yeah, I kind of can relate to like your jump.
Yeah.
Your jumping careers. Like I tried like the 9 to 5 job, and like I have a master's degree, so like I thought that I was following this society's like the steps that like everyone should take, and like I got a job like a 9 to 5, and I couldn't physically hack it, like not just my physical limitations, but like my anxiety of getting up and going to work, and I'm getting on the bus because I don't drive, and all that pressure was building up on me. And one day I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I stopped. I quit my 9 to 5 job, and then I started like volunteering in places, and now I work for a disability organization from home, and I'm like the most senior person in my job right now. So it just goes to show you that like you can go to school and do all this
Yeah, stuff. You can get it all right, but it's not necessarily going to work for you. Yeah.
Exactly. You have to pave your own way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So are you is your platform just on Instagram, or do you venture out into other platforms?
So we are on Instagram and we are on TikTok, but TikTok is like the fun side of disability. So if you guys want to go check that out, my TikTok is very different from my Instagram, but it's a lot of fun. I express myself a lot differently, and I think that's the key to owning different platforms. It's definitely showing different sides of you in all of them. But my TikTok is the same name as my Instagram. So go check that out if you'd like. But as of right now, I'm working on developing my website. So hopefully we have something there coming up soon to show you guys about it. But besides that, as of right now, it's just Instagram and TikTok talking about culture, identity, disability, and the self.
That's a very cool. I want to show all sides of this. Have you I know I experience a lot of like trolls and hate and things like that. Um, have you experienced any of that? And like, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with it?
But experience what? I'm sorry.
I know that I've experienced a lot of trolls and hate from like social media, like putting yourself out there.
I mostly experience it more on my TikTok, not as much on my Instagram, and it's nothing that I really take seriously.
Yeah.
I just kind of see a comment. I have a lot of people saying that I'm not disabled, that I'm faking it for the followers,
Oh, really?
that I'm faking it for money, and I'm like, I mean, that's I guess that's the beauty of social media, that we all get to own our opinions and express ourselves. But I've noticed that negative comments aren't something that really gets to me. I'm here to advocate. And when you put yourself out there, you have to be ready to receive any sort of comment, any sort of interaction. So for me, it's something that I made peace with a long time ago. As soon as I started this, I said, people can comment very beautiful things the same way they can comment very negative things. And I mean, up to now, it's not something that's really gotten to me. Like, I see it more as that person's problem than a problem with me or a problem of myself. So
I like to say that you've made it when people have to comment on like the little things and like call.
And then it's what I was saying, because my TikTok sometimes gets like so many negative comments, and I'm like, you're pretty much just increasing my engagement.
Yeah.
So it's like, thank you, but thank you.
Yeah. So. And you brought up a good point that I like how, I think it's funny how like your disability like just like online, your disability might not come across as like you kind of like, I don't know how to work. I'm not PC, so but your disability is kind of like an invisible disability until like
yeah. I feel that that's what happens.
I think it's funny how they like immediately call you out because you don't appear disabled,
but I am.
Yeah, like disability does not have a clear identity. Like it comes in all forms.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree, but once again, like, I see it more as like a them problem than a me problem,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know I'm not lying, so I get to sleep safe and sound at night, but some people think I'm lying, so okay, that works for me too.
When you're this is just funny, this is just a funny like extra, but like when you're out in public, and like, do you ever get like somebody like coming up to you like, you're so inspirational or anything like that?
Yeah. So I get a lot of inspirational porn when I'm out and about, and it's something that I feel you can't really address specifically with the people that come up to you. You can mostly speak about it, like if you ever do a public speaking gig, or write about it online. But it's very hard to address people specifically when they catch you on the street, because you don't know that person, you don't know where they come from, you don't know what they've experienced, and you can't really control how they perceive inspiration. That's not something for you to manage, judge, or face them so directly with it, like, no, I can't be your inspiration. But I do feel that there is a lack of awareness of it, and that there is definitely more work to be done on that topic, on cultivating and redefining that we are not here to inspire you because of our disabilities. I understand being inspired because we've made it. I understand that you can be inspired because our hard work ethic, but if my disability makes you feel better about yourself, again, that goes to say something about you more than it does about me actually inspiring you.
That's a good point. Like, you're just keeping it real. I feel like when it comes to like inspiration porn and all that stuff, there's a part of it where they like I feel like people just want to point it out to make themselves feel better because
exactly.
Yeah, I feel like they feel like it's like doing a good service to us to tell us how we're doing such a good job, such a great job, like we're doing all this stuff, like, and like
I agree.
Actually doing the opposite.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And once again, like, I can't, I perceive inspiration in my own way, and I wouldn't want somebody to come up to me and be like, no, I can't be your inspiration. But I do feel that there is a problem when we stay as inspiration, when we're trying to get so many other things done.
Yeah.
As an inclusive activist, we create awareness, we change laws, we go out there and do speaking gigs, we get into schools and we provide information necessary for kids to know how to encounter disability, to know how to approach it. So when I stay as an inspiration, it's not that it's insulting, but in a way it's like I'm doing so much work behind the scenes to just be an inspiration. I'm doing so much more. So it definitely does have its like backlashes. Again, I can't comment on me being an inspiration because of my personality, how much my work ethic, how much I've accomplished, but I do have a problem when we are just seeing as items of inspiration when we're not. So
yeah, exactly. I like to say, like, it's cool that I inspire you, but I'd rather motivate you to do something. Like, you can say that you inspire me, that I inspire you all day long, but what does that inspiration lead to? Like,
exactly. And I feel that we see it a lot when we're actually out there doing stuff, because it's like, okay, I inspire you, but sign my petition.
Yeah.
Okay, I inspire you, but I'm trying to do this. Can you support me?
Yeah,
because exactly. If I'm inspiring you, I'm obviously inflicting some positivity in you. So I expect a reciprocal effect here.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue's at.
That's a perfect way to like put it. That was awesome. So at the end of every episode, Paula, I ask my guests if they have any advice for others watching this that might be going through similar situations, or they might want to become an activist or more involved in advocacy. So do you have any advice for others that are watching this?
I always share this one piece of advice, and I think it's like the best advice I gave myself when I was launching this whole inclusive movement. And I really sat with myself one day and I'm like, okay, you've done it all right. You went to school, you got your degree, you work this 9 to 5, you're a publicist, but are you really doing what you want to do? And then a lot of it is thinking about where your heart is, thinking about where your goals are, thinking about your dreams, and thinking about that one thing that doesn't let you sleep at night, that keeps you up, and that you think about day and night, and pursuing it. Because if it's in your heart, it's there for a reason. And I always say, if you think you could be the best at something, if you think you can kill it like nobody else can, it's because you deserve to give yourself the opportunity to try it. But you can only do that if you give yourself the permission to try it.
Yes.
So a lot of it is like a full self-acceptance and permission process that sometimes as humans we need to go through to achieve it. But I think that if you right now, listening to this podcast or listening to any other of your podcasts, if somebody has re-encountered or come back into their senses with something they feel they can be the best at, the only thing you deserve is to give yourself an opportunity to try it and to be the best at it.
Yes, that's awesome advice. I totally agree with it. Where can people follow you, Paula?
So you guys can find me on Instagram at Pauzzo, Pauuzzo, and then my TikTok, is Pauuzzoo with another O at the end. But that's me. That's where you can find me, and hopefully the website is coming soon. We've been working on this website forever, but
I'll put all of that in the description below so people can check you out. And again, thank you, Paula, for agreeing to be on an episode of Spastic Chatter. I really enjoyed talking with you. And if you're watching this, don't hesitate to reach out if you want to be a guest on an episode. You can comment wherever you see this video, or there's a form in the description on YouTube. And check back next week for another episode of Spastic Chatter. Thanks
so much for having me. This was so much fun. I can't wait to do it again.